Are you new to the world of whiskey? Well, we're going to tell you 4 bourbons you should probably be avoiding.
Now roll that beautiful whiskey footage.
So these are some things we've come up with based on our own experiences through our whiskey journey.
We've come up with a list of things, 4 to be specific, of things that new whiskey drinkers should avoid.
Not specific bourbons. Well, I mean...
It's mostly bourbon, but it's not necessarily. It can apply to anybody.
Yep. So let's dive in. The first one on the list is one that's really, really important to know. You don't have to go hunting for the Wellers or the Blantons. Or all those really highly allocated bottles. Why?
You don't need it. There's so much other good stuff out there.
Yes.
That the beginner can get for a lot cheaper.
I totally agree, and I think that's one thing. When I first started my whiskey journey, I remember seeing photos on the internet of people with their Weller Full Proof or their Weller lineup and their Blanton's bottles. They were first of all, they're cool bottles. They look really cool. The Blanton's bottles looks really cool. Also, second of all, those Weller bottles are really cool. If you can have all of them, that's a cool collection. But in my mind, when I first started, I was like, oh, that's going to be easy. I just have to go look around a little bit and then I'll be able to find them. But I was completely wrong and that wasn't true. Luckily, Bill already had some because you had been hunting way before me.
Before it was cool, I guess. Had whiskey. But yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff you can find. I just have a couple examples here that we're using for other things. But Early Times Bottled and Bond. It's cheap. You can find it everywhere. Well, you can't find it in St. Louis for some reason. but you can find it just about anywhere.
Places.
And it's $25 for a bottle. And it's 100 proof. It's good.
And it's easy to drink. Okay, that's a little bit higher.
You were going to spend that $50-$60 on a Blanton's or a Weller Full Proof retail on those? Rare breed.
How about let's stick with Wild Turkey 101?
101, sure. I
101 is like a $20 bottle, and it's 101 proof. That's a little bit higher proof.
Correct,
so if you're just starting out, that might be...
Correct. But then you have an Old Forester 1910 over here.
93 proof.
Yeah, and
really
it's
good.
a phenomenal bottle. It is a little bit more pricey. It is that $50-$55 price range, but yes, that Early Times, that 101, that's where you should kind of start. Granted, if you do find one of those allocated bottles for that retail price, go ahead and pick it up.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to tell you not. Pass that completely. No, get that bottle.
Yeah, buy it. If you find it at retail and it's just sitting on the shelf and you don't have to do anything crazy to get it, sure, buy it.
And you get your Blantons, you are set.
And really, it's 93 proof or whatever.
It's great. It's a great bottle.
It is a great bottle, but...
Blanton's, if I find it for retail price, I'm buying it all day, every day, because I like it.
That was the first bourbon I ever tried that I liked.
Yeah. It's just I'm not paying that crazy price.
Yeah. So, all right.
That was item number 1.
Item number 1. You don't have to go crazy hunting for allocated bottles. There are so many good bottles on the shelf.
Yep.
And also, we have great suggestions for you. If you need beginner bourbons, we've done so many videos. I'll put some of those in the description. So in the comments, I'll pin some comments with beginner bourbons for you. So check those out. If you're new to the world of bourbon, new to the world of whiskey, we have you covered on all areas.
Yep. So number 2, high proof whiskeys, as I kind of had earlier, the rare breed.
It's not high proof, but I think...
You have ECBP.
Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, if you don't know.
These are getting up there. That's 116. I think this is 130 something.
Yeah, that can be very,
133.
Very intimidating when you're first starting out.
Correct.
You might think that is really hot, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, if you manage to get one of these bottles, that's fine, and it's too hot for you, put some water in it.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It actually brings out some more flavors sometimes, so it just depends.
There is no shame in putting water in your whiskey, especially when you're starting out. It does bring out more flavors, and it brings the proof down. You add a little water to it, it proofs it down, so that way you can enjoy it.
There's water in a lot of these whiskeys. They proof them down anyway, so there's water in them. So you can make this bottle go to, let's say, 1.5 bottles if you water this thing down, because it is about 1.5 bottles proof-wise.
Yeah, so if it's barrel proof, that means that's the proof that it came out of the barrel at.
This is 133. Your typical, was it like a Jim Beam or something like that, is 80 proof. So this is 1.5 times the alcohol, a little more than that. So yeah, water them down.
If you find the higher proof, say you've been watching reviews online and you're like, I'm gonna get that bourbon, but it's 133 proof. That might be a little too hot for me. Because
we said it's awesome, and it is.
It is. It's amazing, but also for new people drinking bourbon, that might be like really hot, and then you might be turned off to trying anything else. So remember, you can add water. All right, so the third one on the list, this is one that might surprise you. The cheapest option isn't always the best option.
No.
Even though you're a beginner, you still want to drink something that tastes good. You don't want to go to the shelf and pick up one of those plastic bottles that might be like $12, $15, $18.
Skip these plastic bottles.
That are on the bottom shelf that are like 10, 12, 7, 8, 9,
This
$15.
1.75 was $13. I think this thing was like 6 or something.
It doesn't taste good though.
We did a video on these.
Yeah. No,
Avoid 'em.
you can definitely find better. Like you can find Jack Daniels sitting on the shelf.
Jack
for
Daniels,
cheaper.
Jim Beam, that early
Wild
times
Turkey 101.
Wild Turkey 101. It's
So
don't
many.
go to that bottom shelf and pick up these plastic bottles. I hate to say it because we're being whiskey snobs in this aspect, when there's no wrong way to drink your whiskey or anything like that, but there's wrong whiskeys, and these are some of them.
Yeah, well, especially when you're first starting out, you don't want to taste something bad and then be like, actually, I don't want to drink whiskey because it doesn't taste good. No, not everything tastes like those bottles, and you can actually find really, really, really good whiskey in some of the more affordable bottles. Like we said, you know, your Jack Daniels, Jim Beam, like depending on your taste profile, which is another thing you'll learn as you go out throughout your journey, what you like, but those bottles are affordable and they're good.
You don't have to get the plastic bottles on the bottom shelf.
All right, so the last one on the list, wait a second, before I tell you the last one on the list, if you have not subscribed yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, hit the like button, do all that stuff. It really does make a difference.
Thumbs up.
Become a patron if you haven't yet. If you're thinking about it, now's a great time to do so.
Oh yeah.
Now back to our
Regularly scheduled program.
The last one on the list is a really, really tricky one.
It is.
I think it is, because the last one on the list is old bourbon. Oaky aged bourbon.
You don't, it kind of goes to the allocated one, because a lot of the allocated stuff usually is aged. But yeah, the aged bourbon is kind of something, in my opinion, I think our opinion, that beginners should avoid.
And it's not because it's bad or you're not going to like it or anything. You just might not be able to appreciate it as much as you would a little bit further down your journey.
It's kind of like, here's a good way to equate it, in my opinion, when it comes to like beer. Like you go through college drinking all this Bud Light, Coors Light, whatever it is, and then you all of a sudden have an IPA, and it's like, oh God!
Or you think it's terrible.
Yeah. So
yeah. You might think it's really good.
I kind of think that's a good analogy for how oaky bourbon is, because it's like chewing on a piece of oak. Sometimes.
Well, sometimes it is, and it depends on how aged one tastes. And you, honestly, the oaky flavor might be very intimidating to someone who is new. It was for us. It was for both of us. Actually, we didn't really like it at first. It tastes bitter and dark, but now oaky bourbons are like some of my very favorites. I really love the oak profile. That fits me.
I had a bottle of Rhetoric 22 that I hated at first.
And
I just could not stand it. And then she didn't like it, your first couple pours of it, and then we drank it a little bit more. I was like, actually, this is really, really good. So it's kind of an acquired thing that as you drink more and more, you want to move to that, but I think a beginner should avoid it.
Yeah, and your taste profile definitely changes over time. I mean, I remember, like you said, I had a few pours of that, didn't really like it, and I was like, and it smells weird and
sat on
bitter.
the shelf for a long time.
It did, but then a year later, I went back to it, and I had it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like one of the best bottles on our entire shelf. Like that for the longest time was my favorite bottle on the shelf. So
till we emptied it.
Yep. Then we drank it all, and it was delicious. So it just goes to show that over time, your palate does change. And that's one thing to remember too. Your palate is going to change, and things you don't like at the beginning, you might like later. Things that you like don't like 1 month, you might like 3 months from now. And same thing happens to us. Even, I mean, I wouldn't call myself an expert bourbon drinker by any sense of the imagination, but drink a lot of bourbon.
So yeah, that's our 4 topics we wanted, or 4 items we wanted to kind of go over on bourbons to avoid, or bourbon types, whatever it is.
Let us know if you think that there's something we missed on this list. Like if
I'm sure there is something we missed.
Oh, I'm
someone
sure.
Someone will have something, and I'm sure it's a great one. But yeah, leave that comment.
Yeah, leave a comment. Let us know, and tell us if you're new to the bourbon world. We're always glad to have new people here. It's awesome, and it's a lot of fun. So tell us some of the content you'd like to see, because we want to cater to you. because this is all about sharing our journey. So there's nothing wrong with that. All right, that's all we got for you. You got anything else?
I got nothing.
I got nothing.
We beat this horse to death.
Beep, 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 beep. All right, you guys have a fantastic day. I'm Dara.
I'm Bill.
And we'll see you next time on The Average Drinker.